I'm working in the New Perspectives Microsoft Access 2010 textbook. I'm in Tutorial 5, and I'm going to create the query that begins at the bottom of page 228. We're going to assign a conditional value to a calculated field. As I walk through this query, I'm going to do steps that do not quite follow what are in the textbook. The results will be the same. I will do the steps differently. After I do the query one way, then I'll delete the query and I'll come back and I'll follow the steps in the book. And so you can see the difference between the two methods, and you can decide which one works best for you. So I'm going to start by creating my query. I'll click on Create, Query Design. I'm going to bring in the customer table. I'm going to double click the title bar to select all the fields. I'm going to drag and drop those fields in. Now I was asked to drop those fields into the second column. I didn't. I put them in the first. I did that intentionally so that you can see how easy it is to insert a column. I just need to click anywhere in that first column and then click Insert Columns. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this query. I have 42 records. I have 42 records in my customer table. I'm going to go ahead and save the query as QRY Customers by Name. And you can see this is one of the first differences as you're going through the steps. Now I'm going to right click in that first column and open up the builder, the expression builder. You see I have my query showing in my expression elements, my fields that are available to the query showing in the expression categories. I'm going to start by creating my function. What we've been asked to do is test to see if there is a value in the company field. If there is no value, we're going to create a concatenation of the customer's last name and customer's first name. If there is a value, we're going to return that value. That requires an if statement. Now the way that we're going to do this in our expression builder is we're going to use an immediate if. And I'm going to pull that from Program Flow. So I'll click to open Program Flow and then double click to bring in the if statement. One thing you should be very wary of in the expression builder is double clicking. You want to click, and when you want something to go into the expression builder, then you double click. I'm going to select my first expression. So I've gone up and I've selected it because I'm going to nest another function inside of this function. That's going to be my inspection, and I'm going to test to see if the company field is null. So I'll bring in the is null. I'll select expression, and I'm going to replace it with company. Double click that in. So if is null company, then what we're going to do is we're going to take the last name and concatenate it. And quotation mark, comma, space, quotation mark, and space, first name. If that field is not null, we're going to bring in company. Now I'm going to come back to the beginning and I'm going to click in front of it, or I could have just simply, since I was back here, hit home and put in customer, colon, and a space. I'm going to click OK. And as I move off this row, if Access likes it, I won't get an error message and my entry will remain in that cell. Sometimes Access will delete your entry. It doesn't give you an error message, but all of a sudden this field is blank. Let's run it and see what happens. Company is blank. I get Sabrina. Company is blank. I get first, last. Company is not blank. I should get the name of the company. Company is blank. I get the name of the customer. Company is not blank. I get the name of the company. So we got it to work. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And I said I was going to delete this query, but actually I'm not. I'll just go ahead and rename it. So it says customers by name underscore first, so that I can remember which one is which. And now I'm going to do this query again. This time I'm going to do it a little differently. I'll follow more closely to the steps in the book. So I'm going to click Create, Query Design. I'm going to bring in the customer table. I'll double-click the title bar to select all the fields, drag and drop them into the second. And I'm going to right-click, click on Build, and I'll put in Customer, colon to name the field. When I click on my built-in functions, I'm going to go to Program Flow. Now when I double-click to bring if in, it's going to add an additional EXPR. We didn't get this one the first time when we added the if statement without adding first the field name. So I have to take that one out. Now I'm going to double-click Expression just like I did before. Go to Inspection. Double-click on Is Null. And now, what I did in the first time is I went back to the name of the query and I double-clicked in the name of the fields. See, the name of the fields do not exist now in the expression categories. They don't exist there until after the query is run. To get those names into your expression builder, you create the query, you run the query, and then I like to name the query at that point and then go into the expression builder, because what I'm going to have to do now is type in the values. If is null company, then I'm going to take last name and quotation mark, comma, space, quotation mark, and first name. That's what it's going to do if is null is true, which means there's no company name. If there's no company name, then I'm going to concatenate the last name and the first name. The comma space is just a convention that we use in the English language. When we write the last name first, it's always followed by a comma and a space. Smith, comma, James. Jones, comma, Davy. But if we were to use first name first, we would not use the comma. It would be James space Smith or Davy space Jones. Let's add the company in here and see if we can get this one to work. No error messages and my calculation is still there. We'll run it and see if it works. It still works. And now I'd have to go in and name the query. I'm going to go ahead and delete this one. But now you were able to see the difference that occurs when you run and save the query first before using the expression builder. And this is common to the expression builder, not just this query. And by naming the query after you create the formulas, you just avoid one extra expression being thrown into the query. So what we've looked at in this segment is how to create a query using a conditional value. What we did is we tested the company field to see if that value was blank. Is it null? Is it empty? If it is empty, concatenate the last name with the first name. Last name and quotation mark, comma, space, quotation mark, and first name. If the statement is false, meaning that the field is not null, I'm going to bring in the name of the company. And that's how we did it right here. Customer, if is null company, if the company name is blank, concatenate the last name with the first name. That's what we do if it's true. What do we do if it's false? What if there is a value in that field? Then we just return the name of the company.